Hey everybody, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Zsuzsi and welcome to my first fall video. Though it doesn't really feel like fall. Like currently it is 35 Celsius outside here in Boston. So I am melting. But I mean, technically it is the fall. So I want to kick off fall with my September reset video. I want to show you in this video what books I bought, because I bought a couple of books. I also want to show you the books that I have on my physical TBR. I want to talk to you about a couple of books, a couple of new releases that I am super excited to read in September. I pre-ordered all of these books. And I also want to talk to you about the content plans that I have for September. But before we get into this video, you tell me if you have any special plans for the fall, reading plans or any other plans. Let me know. I want to know. I am nosy. I am a super nosy person. Okay, so let's start this video with my TBR and with some unboxing. Now, as you guys know, I am in love with Carissa Broadbent ever since I read the very first book in the what is the name of that series? War of Lost Hearts. Yes, that is the name. So ever since I read the first book, The Daughter of No Worlds in that series, my life has changed since then, and I decided that I am going to read everything that Carissa Broadbent has ever written. So of course, I had to purchase the second and the third book in that trilogy, and I think that that's what's in this box. Well, let's find it out. Correct. These are the two books, volume 2. Oh my god, these are heavy. And volume 3. Now, for those of you who don't know, this series kicks off with Tisana. And Tisana is a slave. She was a kid when she was sold into slavery, and she had nothing else to survive with but her wits and a little bit of magic, because we do have a magic system in these fantasy books. She is lucky enough to buy her freedom. It doesn't go that easy, but eventually she buys her freedom. But she wants to end slavery, and in order to do that, she travels to an organization called the Orders. And the Orders is a group of the most powerful magic wielders in this fantasy world, and she asks them for their help. But of course, it's not as easy. She needs to join the Orders, but in order to join the Orders, she needs to complete training with somebody named Maxantarius. And yeah, our story begins there. I really love the first book because everything was just perfect. The characters were perfect. The relationship and the connection between the main characters, so beautifully done. The plot is also very interesting, and there is real depth to the story. It is one of my favorite fantasy books, and definitely one of my favorite fantasy romance books that I've ever read in my life. I personally believe that if you are somebody who doesn't like romance and doesn't like fantasy, and especially doesn't like it when, you know, these two are combined, I would still highly recommend that you read that book. So of course I am continuing the series. Volume 2 and volume 3 are here. Of course these are fantasy books, so you know, real chunkers, but now I need to apologize. I need to apologize because in my other videos, when I talked about this series, specifically the first book, The Daughter of No Worlds, I so heavily criticized the cover of that book, and I didn't know, because I didn't do my research, and I am so sorry, that these books are actually self-published. So obviously the author was limited, and I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. Now that I know that, I obviously, you know, think very differently about this whole situation. I am not bashing the cover anymore. But now I heard that Carissa Broadbent is getting a publishing deal and she is getting her books published traditionally. So I'm guessing that, you know, everything will change, the covers will change, and only like who knows what else. And because of that, I actually decided to buy her other books because I want the self-published versions. So there is this other series from her, which is the Crown of Nyaxia. I'm so sorry if I'm botching that, but there is this new series and everybody and their mother and their grandmother and their parrots, like everybody is talking about it and everybody is eating this up, and this is the second book in that series. So let's open the other package, which is the first book in the series, and the first book is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I really want to know what the craziness is about because everybody loves this book and love this series. So again, this is the first book, and then the second book that I already opened is, oh god, these titles, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. From what I know, this is kind of like a paranormal fantasy romance series. It's only a duology. We love to see that. And it is about vampires. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't really plan to read this book because I don't like vampire stories, especially when it's a romance. I think that Twilight ruined me for life. So, you know, I didn't want to buy it, but because it's Carissa Broadbent, of course, I decided to buy it anyways. And this book is about championship. There is a human female protagonist who is competing in a championship, and she will fall in love with a vampire guy. Basically, probably this is the worst summary ever. And the people out there who've read this book are like scratching their face, but I don't know what else to say. I am really excited to get to this book. Honestly, probably not this month because I do want to finish the War of Lost Hearts first. I adore the characters. But I will try to get to this series as soon as I can. Alright, now let's talk about all the other books that I want to read in September. And the first one is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I do have this book physically, I just don't know where it is currently because I already started reading this book. I am 2 chapters in and so far I am loving it. This book is supposed to be a very light-hearted romance that centers about Sadie. And Sadie, I genuinely feel so bad for her because she is having a rough time. She doesn't really have a good relationship with her family, and also she is a struggling artist. And on top of this, she has a seizure in the middle of the street, and it turns out that she has a lesion in her brain that is bleeding, so she very urgently needs brain surgery. And after the brain surgery, she gets an edema and she starts suffering from face blindness, which just as it is, you know, it's probably not a very easy condition to cope with. But for her, it's extra difficult because she is a portrait artist and that's what she does for a living. And now she is in the middle of this super famous competition that she needs to win in order, you know, to give a boost to her career. And she has no idea how to do that because she cannot see faces anymore. She cannot obviously paint faces anymore. And on top of this, she actually falls in love with two guys. This sounds such a cool premise to me, and again, like I said, I'm 2 chapters in and so far I am really liking this book. I didn't read The Bodyguard from this author, but that book has really good reviews, so if I like this book, I don't know, I might try that as well. So far I am liking it. So that's the romance choice for September, but I also really want to read some classics. I don't know about you, but for me it is fall and winter when I just feel that I want to read classics, that I need to read classics. And the 2 books that I selected, one of them is Emma from Jane Austen, of course, like I feel like I have to read this. This is the copy that I bought in London. And then the other book that I really want to read is The Picture of Dorian Gray. I don't know, maybe I get to both of these books September. Maybe I will not, I have no idea. Maybe I will have to choose, I don't know, but I am really looking forward to reading these two. I don't think that we need to discuss the plots of these books because we all know what these classics are about. And then the other book that I really want to finish in September is Fierce Fairy Tales by Nikita Gill. This is a poetry collection, and I read the first poem in this collection like right before starting this video, and I loved it. Like my mind is like blown away. I think that I will really enjoy this poetry collection. So this poetry collection is apparently, like as the title suggests, these are fairy tales, the fairy tales that we all know, that we all grew up listening to, but these are kind of like the feminist versions of these fairy tales. And then I also have a non-fiction selection for this month. I bought this book in the spring and I really want to read it. This seems like kind of dark, and that is exactly what I'm craving right now. And this book is The Butchering Art, written by historian Lindsay Fitzharris. So this book is about 1800s medicine, and we all know that back in those days the medical practitioners who, like, you know, like 200 years later, they kind of all seem like butchers to us, right? The medical practitioners, well, they worked in very unsanitary conditions. They operated people, like, you know, wearing the same gowns. They didn't even wash their hands between operations. They worked with no anesthesia. So honestly, being a medical patient back in those years, it must have been difficult. And because of these filthy conditions, there was a huge mortality rate after surgery. Like, even, like, you know, when you survived the surgery, now that was one thing, but then surviving after surgery, that was another. Because back in these days, they didn't understand germs. They didn't know what bacteria was, or viruses, or fungi. And there were some scientists, like for example, Louis Pasteur, who already started researching these germs and just try to understand where these infections are coming from. But very early days. Then Joseph Lister stepped forward, who was a very young surgeon at a time, when he started advising a cleaning method that he thought that hospitals should start using in order to prevent these infections. And apparently, like, I don't know exactly yet, but this book is about him and his cleaning method and how he really struggled to convince the surgeons at the time to follow these cleaning methods. I mean, just look at the cover. It kind of seemed dark, but honestly, I cannot wait to read this. These kind of topics, they don't make me feel uncomfortable, so, you know, I don't know what to say. This book is probably not for the squeamish, but I personally cannot wait to read it. Okay, so these are the books that I already own and I definitely want to read in September. But now let's discuss a couple of new releases, like namely 3 new releases that I already pre-ordered, and I am super excited to get these books and to read these books. And the first book is In These Hollowed Halls, which is dark academia short story collection. Basically, it's coming out on September 12th, and I'm sorry, I have to look at my computer screen for this portion, but it says that this is a sinister collection of 12 dark academia short stories from the masters of the genre. And the names that I definitely recognize is Olivia Blake, M.L. Rio, and Zsuzsi Yang. So, you know, we have big names here, and there is like a list of different stories here, but some that sound really interesting to me is, for example, like the sinister truth is revealed about a missing professor. A forsaken lover uses a seance for revenge. Sounds good. Horrors are uncovered in an obscure academic department. 5 hopeful initiates must complete a murderous task. These sound really good to me. I haven't read dark academia books, novels, novellas, short stories, whatever you name it, in a while because I just couldn't find one that I really enjoyed. I think the last one that I read was Atlas 6 from Olivia Blake, and I'm just like, I couldn't really connect with that book, but honestly, I don't know when was the last time I read something dark academia, and fall, September especially, I think is perfect for dark academia books. And then the second book is Rouge, I believe that's how you pronounce it, by Mona Awad. And this book is coming out, on September 12th. So it's the same date. Oh, okay. I guess I'm getting 2 books on the same day. I read Bunny from Mona Awad, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't exactly a book that I enjoyed that much because I didn't get that book. That book made me feel stupid. I had no idea what was happening in the book, and when I finished the book, it's like, is this real, or was this whole thing just happening in the head of the protagonist? I have no idea. I don't know, but this sounds really, really good. It says Snow White meets Eyes Wide Shut. Okay. And based on the description, this book is really similar to Natural Beauty that by Ling Ling Huang, and I read that book a couple of months ago, and honestly, like it's one of the best books of the year for me. So I am really interested now in this one because this description says that it is a horror-tinted gothic fairy tale about a lonely dress shop clerk whose mother's unexpected death sends her down a treacherous path in pursuit of youth and beauty. This sounds fantastic. It's about Belle, who is very obsessed with her skin and skincare videos. And when her mother, Noelle, mysteriously dies, Belle finds herself back in Southern California dealing with lingering questions about her mother's death. The stakes escalate when a strange woman in red appears at the funeral offering a tantalizing clue about her mother's demise, followed by a cryptic video about a transformative spa experience. So again, Natural Beauty, that was the same, like the stupid spa. And Belle is lured into the embrace of this lavish and cultish spa to which her mother was devoted. Honestly, this just sounds so good. So good. I really want to read it. And because I didn't really like Bunny, honestly, I don't have that high expectations. So I'm hoping that this will work for me. Okay, and then the next and the last new release for this month that I am super interested in is The Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig. And he is the best-selling author of The Wanderers and the Book of Accidents. I never read these books. I know that Book of Accidents was actually pretty big, but I just never felt the need to read it, honestly. But this one, this book, this story sounds so good. It's autumn in the town of Harrow, and there is an orchard, and in that orchard, 7 most unusual trees. Honestly, you don't know this, but I love trees. I know how this sounds. Like, this sounds so stupid, but I love trees. I love nature in general. I love hiking. I love woods. Trees, any story with a tree in it, my story. So back to the description. And from those trees grow a new sort of apple. Strange, beautiful, with a skin so red it's nearly black. Take a bite of one of these apples and you will desire only to devour another and another and another. You will become stronger, more vital, more yourself. This description is actually super cryptic. But there's something else buried in the orchard. A bloody history. And now the leaves are falling and the days grow darker and a stranger has come to town. I really want to read this book. This sounds so cool. Let me know if you are interested in any of these new releases, or if you had the chance to read an arc of these new releases. Just like let me know if they are worth reading or not. I mean, I already bought them, I already pre-ordered them, but yeah, let me know in the comments down below. All right, and now the videos that I am planning to film in September. I have so many video ideas and so many plans, oh god. Okay, so first I am working on an anticipated fall releases video specifically for thriller, horror and fantasy. I am a new releases girl. I love reading new releases. It's not that good for my wallet, but anyways, I read a lot of new releases. So I curated a list for myself, honestly, for the fall, but then I decided that I'm actually gonna make it into a video. So if any of you likes thriller, horror and fantasy, and I also have 1 or 2 mystery books on that list, then stay tuned for that, because I think that we have amazing books coming up, especially in October. October will be a crazy good month in terms of new releases. I am also now finalizing my Throne of Glass reading vlog, and I am putting that out in September. Oh god, it will be my longest reading vlog. I mean, I am reading 8 books basically in that vlog, so you know, of course it's long, but the Throne of Glass series, that was a ride for me, so I cannot wait to put it out there and for people to watch and like watch me basically take a 180 turn and completely change my mind about that book series. And I am also resetting my bookshelves for the fall. I want to clean them and I want to decorate them, and I also need to reorganize my TBR shelf because I broke the shelf that's in my fireplace where I keep the books that I want to read. So I need to know that, and I am going to film the entire process. And you guys know that I live in Massachusetts, and for us the fall is the prime season. If you live in New England, you are a fall person, whether you like it or not. I am planning most of my fall vibes reading vlog for October and November, because that is the prime time in Massachusetts and in Boston. But I also want to put out like one video kind of like towards the end of September that is all about the fall vibes in Boston, and I am planning to read a couple of these new releases in that reading vlog video. So if this sounds interesting to you, then stay tuned, because I am working on these videos and they are definitely coming up. Well, this is it, guys. This is the end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed spending some time with me. Let me know about your fall plans and fall reading plans, because I want to know. Also, because I am a new releases kind of girl, let me know if you know about any like really interesting book that is getting published in like September, October, November, because I really want to know. Hit share, like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. You are very much welcome here. If you want to check out any of my other videos, I will link a couple here, and I'll see you soon in an upcoming video. Bye!